Let me just show you a little trick, guys, that I think's really kind of handy. So I'm gonna take my bait and throw it out here. Let's say that that's my longest throw that I'm gonna make right there, okay? So while I'm home and I wanna learn what's going on, what I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna set this reel down. I'm gonna pull off as much line as I expect to be able to cast, okay? Then I'm gonna make sure that my line is somewhere near the middle of my spool. As you can see, I'm coming off somewhere near the middle of the spool as far as left to right goes, okay? Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a plain old piece of electrical tape, and I'm gonna crack this loose. I'm gonna take a plain old piece of electrical tape, and I'm gonna get a piece about 3/4 of an inch long, okay? I'm gonna take that electrical tape, I'm gonna take this spool, and I'm gonna lay this directly on the spool, okay? And I'm gonna smash it down with my thumb. I'm gonna keep that mashed. Now you look, that line is coming right out from underneath that electrical tape right there, and you see I've got that little piece of tape. Now, when I close this and I wind all this line in on top of it, when I go to cast, that electrical tape will keep me from having any chance of a backlash. There's no chance that I can backlash this. Even if I don't even put my thumb on the spool, watch what happens. Nothing happened. I don't have a backlash. I didn't control anything. I just flung it out there. I idiot-proofed it. If you learn nothing else from this show, then you just earned your money right there, guys, because you won't go through a bunch of line that way. When you're learning, you're going to tangle your backcaster a lot. Even if you're a good bass fisherman, you're gonna hang your light post behind you, or you're gonna have a sword fight with another guy in the deck of your boat, or you're gonna hit your window console, or something's gonna go wrong and you're gonna backlash it. That tape will keep me from having a problem. The other thing is people will say, oh, well, what happens if you hook Shamu and he wants to pull a bunch of line? That tape will pop right off there. If a fish starts yanking a bunch of line against your drag, that tape will go flying. I've tested it a million times and you'll be fine. So the worst that ever happened was one got stuck in the line roller and the braid just cut it to pieces. So don't even worry about it. That is not an issue, but to be honest with you, in most freshwater fishing, that's not gonna happen even with a monster wiper or something like that. He's not gonna rip off 200 yards of line, you'll be fine. But that tape trick is really good. The other thing is monofilament's the easiest to work with in general in terms of castability and all that on a casting rod, so I recommend learning with monofilament and the tape trick, and that'll save you a ton of headaches. Let's assume that you make a throw, okay, and you didn't put your tape on your reel like I'm talking about, or you just flat lost control a little bit. So you can see my throw is fine, but I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a backlash, okay? So I just spun a little backlash in there, okay? Close the bail. Okay, so now I have this. If I make another cast, I'm gonna have a tangle. I've got to get this out. I don't wanna reel that line in on top of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push the spool release button, but what's gonna happen is I cannot pull on this without my thumb on that spool, or it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So keep the resistance of your thumb on the spool and then pull the line out until you get to the bottom of the loose wraps, okay? There I'm at the bottom of the loose wraps. Now I'm gonna close the bail. I'm gonna put some tension on the line and I'm going to reel this back in with tension on it, okay? That little bit of tension will keep that from ever being a problem again. So really important that you control that slack line, because with this little backlash, it's only a little backlash, but if I don't control it and I pull on this, it's going to be a big backlash. You're gonna make your own situation worse. The other thing is, if you do have to pull a bunch of line off, I'm an advocate of putting it in the water, not on the deck of your boat. And as you get a little bit more out, let's say I had to pull more out, okay, I'm pulling more line out, I got more line out because I messed up, I'll pull it through the guides all the way and lay it on the water so that it's laid out here on the water. Let the guy in the boat with you know you have line out, and lay it on the surface of the water, and you won't have near the problems. If you unspool this into your boat, it's gonna catch on everything on your deck, and when you go to wind it in, it's gonna catch some, it's gonna cinch tight, it's gonna tangle all your stuff up. Don't do that. So what you wanna do is make sure you spool all the excess line into the water, and you're ready to go. Another key thing is, let's say I make a pitch over here, and okay, it's a good pitch, it's in there, but I got a couple of loose wraps. Another obvious way to get them out is turn around, just make a long open water throw, point your rod at it, put some tension on it, and get your line back laying nice and flat on here as well. So that's another important thing, but managing the line on the spool here is the key part of the day with a baitcaster or a spinning rod, and then you're always ready to turn around Then make an accurate and quiet pitch up against a tree and hopefully get a bite.